Police Association declines to represent an NOPD officer arrested for prostitution.
Gabby Killett reports he's accused of helping protect a member of an organized theft ring.
Court records obtained by Fox 8 show that dating back to at least October of 2022, Terrence Johnson texted manslaughter suspect Annette Colbert regularly. "Don't talk to him. He might be undercover feds," he allegedly wrote to her nearly 3 years ago. On Wednesday, authorities arrested 56-year-old Johnson on counts of prostitution, malfeasance in office, and injuring public records. In an affidavit for his arrest, investigators say evidence ties him to Colbert, held on a manslaughter charge in the drugging death of Super Bowl reporter Adon Manzano.
The authorities that were conducting that murder investigation identified numbers that she was calling, and the investigation identified one of the numbers as the number of a New Orleans Police Department officer.
He will be given due process, but probable cause is a pretty high standard that has already been met.
Johnson is not accused in Manzano's death, but rather of helping Colbert avoid law enforcement in and around the French Quarter and soliciting her associates for sex acts in exchange for money. He allegedly claimed to be working a 12-hour shift when he actually spent part of the time having sex with a prostitute in a car near Crescent Park. State police say phone records indicate he also left his Bourbon Street post to have sex with a prostitute in New Orleans East twice. Another charge is related to allegedly helping Colbert hide her theft of a stolen watch.
Based on the completeness of this arrest warrant, I suspect that it's not a question of if the DA's office or the Attorney General's office will accept charges. It's just how quickly they will.
In addition to the charges, the police department also has an administrative case against Johnson, which will result in automatic termination if complaints are sustained. Due to the egregious nature of the allegations against him, the Police Association of New Orleans declined to represent Johnson criminally.
The criteria is mainly, was the officer in the course and scope, the legitimate course and scope of his employment? Was he exercising his duties in good faith? And to a lesser extent, whether or not he was on duty. And they've, after looking at all that criteria, they've declined.
Kirkpatrick says she hopes to remove Johnson from the agency as soon as possible. Johnson was hired in 1997 and, according to payroll records, made $140,000 last year.
Good evening and welcome to the Bad Apple Report After Dark. I really didn't want to have to do an After Dark episode tonight because I wanted to spare you all from all these sickos like this guy Caleb Sickinger. The sicko, Caleb Sicko Sickinger. He's 45 from Rigby, and he was sentenced to several years in federal prison after he used a woman's social media account to obtain images of her children. Sicko, Rigby, Idaho, a former Jefferson County deputy, is now facing 9 years in federal prison after he pleaded guilty to the charge on April 8th of 2025. According to the news release from the U.S. Attorney's Office in the District of Idaho, they said that 45-year-old Caleb Sickinger, the sicko of Rigby, was sentenced to 108 months in prison. He received that sentence on Wednesday, August 13th, nearly 2 years after the investigation started. Court records indicate that Sickinger became a person of interest when a man in Alabama was arrested for coercion and enticement of possession of child photography. The Alabama man stated he received the child photography material through a woman in Idaho. Though a thorough investigation of the Bureau of Investigation there was able to identify that the woman in Idaho was actually Sickinger, the sicko, who was falsely assuming the woman's identity without her knowledge. The news release from the attorney's office said agents eventually learned that the woman had not been involved in the crime, but Caleb Sickinger, who was a police officer at the time, ultimately admitted to falsely assuming the woman's identity without her knowledge by utilizing images from her social media account. Sickinger also admitted to obtaining images of the child from social media and having the images digitally altered to appear the child was in pornography. Sickinger then distributed those altered images to the individual in Alabama. Sickinger will be placed in federal prison, while Chief U.S. District Attorney David Nye also ordered Sickinger to be placed on supervised release following his time in prison. Sickinger will also have to register as an ex-offender. All right, that's the whole story on that terrible bad apple.
And a Douglas County correctional officer is facing charges after investigators say he sexually assaulted a female inmate. So sheriff's office says that 20-year-old Christian Joe was on the job for just 37 days. The investigation, it began this week after a tip about a possible assault at the jail. A judge denied his bond today, and the sheriff's office says that all new employees, they undergo extensive background checks and evaluations, including a criminal history review.
We have another cop heading off to jail. He's been sentenced for his predatory behavior. Former officer sentenced for recording children in bathroom. Claremont County, Ohio, a former Harrison police officer has been sentenced to 18 to 19.5 years after he was found guilty of hiding cameras in a home to record children in the bathroom. Eric Gregory is his name, and he pleaded guilty Tuesday to 5 counts of illegal use of a minor and nudity-oriented material and several counts of voyeurism and tampering with evidence. According to the court records, the former officer hid the camera in the floor vent of the bathroom, and he used the videos for sexual gratification. When confronted about it, Gregory destroyed the SD card with the videos on it, prosecutors said previously. Detectives later found multiple videos of minors. Quote, Eric Gregory is a menace, predatory, distasteful, and manipulative in every possible way, a victim said Thursday in court. Before sentencing, his defense attorney argued that, we don't care. And it says here, I'm sorry for what I did. That's what Gregory said. We really don't care what he has to say. He had that it was a mistake. Oh, yeah, 20 years of your life, buddy. Okay. However, Claremont County Common Pleas Judge Kevin Miles said Gregory was well aware of the law, and he was a law enforcement officer for 20 years in Hamilton County, and he should have known better. Indeed, he should have. Quote, so this took a lot of planning and a lot of effort, and it's certainly not a mistake, Judge Miles told Gregory. One time would have been a mistake, perhaps, but multiple times you committed these offenses. And the planning that went into it certainly are not indicative of that being a mistake. Okay, so Judge Miles also said that he had to issue a bench warrant for Gregory because he was a non-compliant while out on bond. Okay, the guy's in trouble. Judge Miles added that Gregory's actions left a significant psychological impact on the victim's film, describing his conduct as predatory behavior. In addition to the prison sentence, Gregory will have to register as an ex-offender, and he's also has the opportunity to get out of jail on probation. Okay, that's another sicko right here on the Bad Apple Report for you. Let's move on with the show.
That breaking news tonight, 4 West Memphis police officers fired during an investigation into sexual misconduct. Good evening to you. I'm Joy Redmond. All 4 officers had already been suspended months ago. Action News 5's Joyce Peterson live with the latest information from West Memphis PD and Mayor Marco McClendon's office. Joyce.
Yeah, Joy. West Memphis Police Chief Robin Campbell Jr. Very brief statement telling Action News 5 tonight the firings come after 2 investigations. They did one internally, and then one was conducted by an independent third party. Of the 5 officers who were suspended last March, 4 have been terminated. Here are the West Memphis police officers terminated on Tuesday, August 12th. Major Stacy Allen, Captain Mose Walker, Officer Treasure Gaither, and Officer Blake Forthman. West Memphis Police Chief Robin Campbell Jr. telling Action News 5, the city of West Memphis has released 4 of the 5 officers previously placed on administrative leave during the ongoing misconduct investigation. West Memphis officials won't say what the allegations of misconduct are, but the firings leave the city with 87 officers on the force now, protecting and serving 24,000 citizens. Mayor McClendon's communication director confirming 6 new officers are currently in training. Exactly what these 4 now former police officers are accused of doing isn't yet known publicly. In a statement, Chief Campbell said of the terminations, this action reflects the city's commitment to public trust and fairness for all involved. Due to ongoing litigation, he says, we are unable to comment further at this time. Now, we know that several women submitted formal complaints about sexual harassment dating back years. We also know that Captain Mose Walker filed a lawsuit against Chief Campbell and Mayor McClendon in 2024, alleging he was placed on administrative leave previously as retaliation for speaking up about departmental cover-ups.
You ready for a shocker? I'm going to have to call this the Good Grief Report. Good grief. Breaking news. New arrest for a New Hampshire police officer accused of receiving child sex abuse videos. It's in Haverhill, Massachusetts. Resident John Giarrusso, who's been out on bail on the state charges following his initial arrest in March. He's due in federal court in Boston. What's up, Giarrusso? A New Hampshire town police officer is now facing federal charges for allegedly receiving videos showing sexual abuse of children. John Giarrusso, who's been on leave from Seabrook's Police Department, he was previously arrested on state child photography charges in Massachusetts. He was again arrested Thursday morning on federal child photography charges, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. They said that Haverhill, Massachusetts resident knowingly received videos showing children between 5 and 11 years old being sexually abused on a messaging platform called Kik last October. Giarrusso, who's been out on bail on the state charges following his initial arrest in March, was due in federal court in Boston Thursday afternoon. It wasn't immediately clear if he had an attorney. Anyways, this new charge carries a sentence between 5.5 and 20 years. When he was first arrested, the Seabrook Police Department said he'd been placed on administrative leave and that they were cooperating with the Haverhill Police. Okay, another sicko in the news. We're just going to keep moving on today. Thanks for being here. Ex-Logan police officer sent to jail for sexually abusing a woman in his squad car. Brigham City. A former Logan police officer was sentenced to 2 months in jail after pleading guilty to sexually abusing a woman in his squad car. Carlos Jonathan Cubillas, age 27, was charged in 2024 with forcible sexual abuse, a second-degree felony, 4 counts of unlawful access to the Criminal Investigation Techniques and Services Division records. Oh, he was checking her out, looking her up. There's a bunch of misdemeanor talk there. In a plea agreement in June, Cubillas pleaded guilty to the forcible sexual abuse charge, and it was reduced to third-degree felony. And the 4 misdemeanors of unlawful access or use of Criminal Investigations and Technical Services Division's records. Oh, those were reduced to misdemeanors. Those felonies were. Anyways, Cubillas was sentenced to a term of 0 to 5 years for the sexual abuse charge, plus 180 days in jail for each misdemeanor. But those terms were suspended, and he was ordered to serve 60 days in jail. He was also sentenced to 4 years of probation and was ordered to undergo a mental health evaluation and comply with recommended treatment. Get a load of that. The guy's sentenced to years in prison, but it's all suspended. He gets 60 days in jail. Cubillas spotted the 2 young women walking alone at about 2 a.m., made a U-turn in the squad vehicle, and called them over. The charges state the officer said instead the young women get in the vehicle and began driving them to a different destination. Okay. While Cubillas was driving, he began to ask the women actually charged questions. Once they reached the destination, Cubillas demanded one of the young women give him her number. While she was putting her number in his phone, Cubillas inappropriately touched the woman, the charges state. The woman tried to move away, and investigators said that the officer then grabbed her inappropriately as she walked away. Police say Cubillas used the information he had gained from her to conduct 4 searches of her personal information in the records. Okay, Logan police confirmed Cubillas was an officer and blah, blah, blah. We don't really care. Well, he got 60 days in jail for doing that. Maybe he learned his lesson. Okay? Let's call it a day with that, you guys. Thanks for being here to watch the show. You're awesome. I really do appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. bright and early. Take it easy.